So first off, thanks to Jentel for having me, and it's been such a privilege to have the time and the space to create, and I'm grateful, and I'm also grateful to my fellow residents. I feel honored after I wasn't familiar with anyone's work, and I feel honored because everyone's work has been that I've seen has been amazing. So thank you. So I'm a photographer. I think in 10 minutes is hard to go into too much about what I do, and I think in the age of Google, where everything's explained, I think art's one of the few things that still has some kind of mystery and some kind of ineffable aura to it. So I'm not going to necessarily explain as much about what I do as maybe just talk about some of the photos and kind of where I took them. And but I'm a street photographer, which means I just go around and I kind of instinctually just take pictures of things that attract me. And then I've made 2 books, and I usually just shoot for long enough to accrue a set of images, and then I edit into some kind of theme or preoccupation. Um, so this first image is from my first book called Nothing's Coming Soon. Um, and it's loosely based on the Buddhist idea that life is suffering. Suffering not in this idea of pain, but more of we're always living generally in the future or the past, and we're always craving something. And so kind of taking that existential idea and applying it to the world at large. This is a mural from in Augusta, Georgia, where I'm originally from. You can go to the next one, please. So I lived in Athens, Georgia, but I was going to Augusta one day to visit my mom, and I saw this woman on the side of the road, and she was picking pecans. And I stopped and asked her if I could take her photograph, and she said I could. And there's something very regal and almost defiant in a really beautiful way, which I think is something that life sometimes requires, and we don't have enough of in this day and age, is defiance. And so there was something I loved about this photo and her gazing directly at the camera. So this was a man, I taught in Milledgeville, Georgia for a while, and this was a guy who was, he was like living at the Salvation Army. And he was kind of my model for a while, and he allowed me to just take pictures of him a lot. And I again, there's certain defiance, a certain dignity in the face of adversity. You know, starting the day, combing your hair, I just felt somehow kind of beautiful and also resilient. Another mural. This was in a small town in Georgia. I think one of the themes of my first book is the constant decay of the environment and our bodies. Again, I'm not trying to make this in a way that feels depressing or pessimistic, but just a fact. And I think I liked that this image kind of embodied those facts of life. So this was an image, I think, in where was it? It's not Commerce, Georgia. It's somewhere near Athens, Georgia. Anyway, this was one of the last images in my book, and the writer who wrote about this, the essay, it turns out that this house was built in the 1890s, I believe, and the person who built this house based it on an essay by Oscar Wilde about what what made a beautiful house, what embodied a beautiful house. And the essay kind of compared and contrasted Wilde's idea of a kind of a pristine, proper aesthetic beauty with mine, which was more kind of, decayed and weathered and beaten. And so this kind of compare and contrast. So, I mean, it's always interesting with a photo because you never know how someone else is going to interpret it. And I just liked the house because of the way it looked, but I had no idea of the history of Wilde and et cetera. So that kind of typifies my belief in art in general, is that you make something and then it goes out in the world and it's not really yours anymore, and everyone has a different interpretation of it. So this was a woman who, again, another photo. I mean, I like thrift store shopping, and I almost feel like sometimes this is my version of thrift store shopping, where I'll go out and I'll just find images, and it's more about it's exploration, and it's almost like once I find something, I don't even have to do anything but click the camera. And this was just a woman who I saw walking in her yard one day, and I kind of consider this my first successful portrait, which is kind of weird because the face is obscured, but there's something kind of forlorn and somewhat melancholy about this photo, but it's also beautiful to me. This is from my second book called Perpetual Care, and I believe this was in Savannah. Again, somewhat kind of humorous, you know, kind of the world at large, but also with these kind of palm trees in it, something enigmatic about it that I find, you know, somehow optimistic, but also kind of funny and sad, much like life itself. This is kind of a self-portrait. I don't really take, I don't like, I mean, I'm a photographer, but I don't like really having my photo taken. This was after a breakup. And I don't know, this was in my first book. There's a type of photography that's gotten very popular in the last 20 years or 30 years called constructed photography, where people make the images. Probably the leading proponent of it would be Gregory Crutzen, who constructs whole film sets. He takes over a town, and it's very much kind of opposite of the way I work, but this is probably as close as I get to constructed photographs, where I kind of create the photograph and it's not based on chance as much. So this is out in our neck of the woods. I did a residency in Colorado, and I don't know, 2021, 2022. And I'm fascinated by the West. I haven't spent enough time out here. I'm not really sure what I'm doing next with my photography. And I would like to spend more time out here to understand it. I think a gentleman said earlier that, you know, how long have you been out here? And you know, there's so much more to see. And I agree with that. And I feel like to do this area justice, I would have to spend years out here. So I think whenever you first visit a place, you kind of notice maybe things that are more stereotypical. So I hope, other than this 3 weeks, I hope I can spend more time out here and really explore it more, because I am fascinated by many facets of the West and how it's, especially how it's portrayed in popular media and in cinema. So, but anyway, this was kind of the start. I saw this gentleman at a thrift store, and I asked him if I could photograph him, and went outside and photographed him. And yeah, and then that might be it. Okay. And then I thought I'd end on a Halloween note. This was taken in my hometown of Athens, Georgia. Again, I think a lot of times when art has a contradictory mix of kind of different emotions, it's interesting, and this feels, humorous, but also maybe a little nostalgic based on, Halloween as a kid, and then maybe a little bit kind of, scary too in a certain way. So something about this image kind of referenced my childhood and what I thought about Halloween. And I think that's it. Yeah.